Are you involved in the development of IEPs for a student? Do you attend the IEP meetings, or what is the whole process with that?
Well, we do in our academy of 5 teachers. We have our homeroom class where all the kids in our homeroom period we are responsible for IEPs and such other things, parent conferences and everything. If the parent requests that all teachers be present, then we would all go. But for the most part, if a teacher is required to attend a child's IEP meeting, that homeroom teacher would attend that meeting and take down all the information from all the other teachers that they want to present to the parent at the IEP meeting.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Thank you. How much notice do you get that one of your students has a disability, ADHD or something else?
Normally, before the year starts, before we get the students, we have the IEP folders on every student that we have. That usually gives us an idea before we start teaching if they have preferential seating, they need to sit closer up when we make our seating charts, or if they have problems working with other people, we try to put them in a place where they feel more comfortable so that you can just accommodate them to everything that's listed in their IEP folder. So at the beginning of the year, you kind of just look through. I usually have anywhere from 10 to 15 kids total out of all my classes that have IEPs, and I just accommodate them accordingly to whatever their IEP says.
Okay, so what do you do? How do you accommodate when a student with a disability is in a situation where they're starting to get a little bit hyperactive? And I mean, what do you do to fix it in those kind of environments where they need to be still and they need to be quiet and they need to do their desk work on their own?
We do offer here at Castle is a behavior support program where 5 people are hired here to basically just focus on certain students that have been classified as ADHD, and they come in and monitor them once a month or twice a month to see how they're doing, and they come up with behavior support plans for the children that they go over with the parents, with the teachers, to make sure that everyone is able to be on the same page and get the kid the best support you can get. Sometimes you're aware of the child's ADHD already and you have a behavioral support plan. A lot of them do say the child cannot just sit still. If they need to get up, what a lot of us would do as teachers is take a walk around the room, just walk around. Hopefully you do that enough times the other students won't be affected by it. They'll just realize he just needs a little break to walk around or whatever. If it gets really bad during a test, I'll stand behind him, make sure him or her, make sure that they're doing what they need to do. If it gets really chronic, I will take a seat, put it by the door so they're a lot cooler, they get a breeze, they can, they're not looking at everybody else, they don't feel like they're surrounded by a bunch of people.
Oh, wow.
I won't necessarily put them outside, but I'll put them, in a secluded spot so where they are by themselves, they don't have that pressure to, act like they need to be loud and obnoxious and get everybody else's attention. What the school's behavior support plan does is if a child is just beyond control in a class due to his ADHD, they'll check with the parents to make sure he is getting the medication. They'll check with the psychologist or the doctor to make sure everything is doing okay chemically. And then the school, if needed, will have a behavior specialist step in and monitor the kid. We had a kid last year, the behavior specialist had his cell phone number, and the kid's phone was on vibrate. So every time he was acting up, the guy would text him real fast, so it vibrated, and it was a signal to him to let him know, hey, I got to be quiet, I got to settle down a little bit, and that seemed to work out pretty well.
Excellent.
Teach the whole class, and if the ones with disabilities are struggling with it, what I'll do is I'll get everyone else started on their classwork so they're occupied, and I'll pull not only them but anybody else who's struggling to the side and do a little tier 2 instruction, just reteaching them real fast right with them with a whiteboard or in their notebook or something. And if I get to the point where there's, more than 7 or 8 kids that need to be in that tier 2 group, I'll just reteach the whole class, But if it's down to 2, 3, 4 kids, I'll just get everybody else started on their classwork, bring those ones with me, reteach them, then send them to their classwork. And if I get the advanced kids that are done before everybody else and are bored, I'll have challenging problems waiting for them to try and keep them occupied, so they're never just sitting there doing nothing. And I do think having the students with disabilities nowadays are different than students with disabilities that were classified when I was in school, where if you were special ed, you were special ed for everything. Nowadays, you could just be special ed in reading, but be a great math student, and vice versa. So what you have to do is just know what the kid has a disability in specifically, and know how to attack the kid in a fact where you can get them doing what they're doing right in a way to help them improve the things they're not doing right. So if they're a great reader but a poor math person, get them to read a problem, understand what it's asking to do, and then come up with a way to figure out on how to solve it. And if they're a good math person but not a good reader or writer, have them explain to me in words how they solve that problem, and tell them, okay, that's how you write it down. Write it down exactly the way you just told me to. So I think it is a success as long as you have a manageable amount of children with disabilities in a regular ed classroom. Been done last year in the other academy with 9th grade freshmen. They had a special ed math teacher teaching with a regular ed math teacher, and they shared duties. It was mostly the regular teacher who did the lessons, but the sped teacher was also able to teach lessons once in a while, but also as another body in there that they were on the same page. They taught the exact same method, so everyone was familiar with them, and it looked like it was a big success, and I think that they're going to continue it this year.
That's great. Did they teach simultaneously, or did they take turns teaching?
They took turns, so there's only one speaker.
Right.
But when it got time for student work, they both were out there, answering questions. It was a huge benefit to the kids. They had 2 people in there as opposed to just one for the 30 kids. They had 2 people so everyone was able to get the attention they needed.
Awesome. So, we had a great interview with Neil Bauer of Castle High. We learned about his love for teaching and how that included children with disabilities in the classroom. We also learned about the many facets of and the 5 W's of ADHD. We also specifically learned about the needs that all children need for math and the many different types of intervention used by good math teachers in the inclusive classroom. Thank you for joining me today.